Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. And I come to you from Circular Quay, and as you can see, it's a wet old Monday. It's been raining, and the jacaranda trees here are in full blossom, as you can see. And you can see those mauve petals are just scattered everywhere, following the heavy rains that we've had over the past couple of days. And it looks like it's going to be quite heavy throughout the week as well. Just goes to show that the weather here in Sydney, or in Australia actually, is unpredictable. We've had a couple of years of drought, followed by a bit of rain, and all of a sudden we've had floods. And a lot of the crops, I saw on the news last night, a lot of the crops are in jeopardy because of too much rain now. So we've gone from one extreme to another. But that's Australia for you. It's always been like this, and it will always be like this. But check out this jacaranda tree in absolute full blossom. How beautiful is it? Anyway, it's a little bit hard to see those blossoms up top, but let's go on a walk and talk and have a bit of a chat about a topic that I've got near and dear to my heart. It's a serious topic today, so it's a sensitive topic that I'm going to be talking about. But like the white elephant in the room, I think we all need to talk about these topics because they impact everybody in different ways. But just absolutely shocked to have spoken to quite a few people, especially men here in the construction industry, who tell me that they've caught their partners out, and their partners have been cheating on them. They've been cheated on. And the sad thing is that most of the stories that I know about are people who have been cheated on by people who are close to them. So close friends are the ones who have been the culprits in terms of the cheating, which is sad, very sad. But it's a story which just gets on getting repeated time over and time again. And don't know what to make of it. But I did read a book recently called The Like Switch, and it talked about how you get liked and how you can form close friendships with people. And the things they talked about was proximity, frequency, volume, and a couple of other things, and intensity. And it all makes sense all of a sudden that if you're around somebody, if you're close to somebody on a regular basis. So for example, you're a doctor and you're surrounded by a nurse all the time, or if you're an executive and you're surrounded by a secretary all the time, or if you're working in some field and you've got a close connection with somebody in terms of proximity, being with them all the time in close quarters, then that's an ingredient that makes you very liked. The other thing is the frequency. So if you're together all the time, if you're seeing each other all the time, from a work perspective or from a social perspective, that also adds fuel to the emotional fire. And then duration is the other one. So if you're in close proximity to somebody and you see them on a regular basis, and that regular basis, the duration is enhanced, then the more time you have with somebody in close quarters, then the greater the chance of being liked or being considered to be available. And the last one is intensity. So if you're with somebody and you're in a situation which is they talked about it in the book, talked about it in terms of emotional strength. So if you're in a situation where there's fear, there's danger, there's excitement, there's fun, then that also adds to the likeness and the appeal scenario. So when we look at that formula, if you take all those things and take them into consideration, then it starts to add up that if somebody's going to have a fling, they're going to have a fling with somebody that they're in close proximity to on a regular basis for long periods of time, and where there's an emotional sort of connection, albeit if that's indirect. And hence, doctor, nurse, they're in an emergency, then that creates excitement. Indirectly it creates excitement which can be misattributed to the other party, but all of these things add up to what's the word I'm looking for? It adds up to a potential for attraction. So it makes sense that if somebody's going to have an affair, or if somebody's going to play around, they're going to play around with somebody who's fairly close to them and not just somebody who's random. The other question I've asked a lot of these guys is that now, how do you know? How do you know and how do you find out? I'll say that I've been married 35 years and my wife may never know if I've been faithful or not, because every man will always say that they've been faithful until they're caught red-handed. How will you know if your partner's been faithful? Unless you catch them, or unless you're told, or unless something happens. And one of the guys opened up to me, and he says, mate, you will know. That you get a feeling, he said. You get a feeling. Now you can't fool your soul. You can't be fooled. When somebody's playing up, you will feel it. You will get that sense. You will sense it, which I found quite confronting actually. But he said it. He said it with all his heart, and I've chatted to a few other people, and they all seem to have the same sort of feedback, that you sense it. You can sense the infidelity. And at the end of the day, we're social beings, we're beings of habit, and we want to act congruently with our values or with our behaviours or with how we see ourselves. So for each of us, in our mind's eye, there's an image of ourselves that we see, and if that image is a troubling image, then our behaviours tend to change to align with that image, and hence, directly or indirectly, if you want to show it, or if you don't want to show it, sooner or later your behaviour will give you away. Unless you're an absolute perfect actor, unless you've been in theatre for years, or unless you've been well schooled in hiding yourself, the real self, from other people, what the people, or what my friends that I've spoken to about these sorts of topics say, is that it's a dead giveaway. You can tell it in the other person's behaviour, you can feel it, and as my friend said, you can't fool your soul. You know, at the deepest level in our being, our subconscious knows when things are not going right, because it picks up the body language. It picks up the non-verbal clues. You know, there are certain things that you can control consciously, but lo and behold, there are things that your subconscious can't hide and will just put on display for people to see. And regardless of whether or not you think that you've got everything under control and nobody knows, because quite frankly, if two people know, if you know and the person who you're having an affair knows, then chances are that everybody will find out eventually, because people talk, people give clues away, just like a thief, just like a murderer, just like a serial killer will always leave certain clues at the sign of at the crime scene. So too, from what I understand, and I'm not an expert in this area, it's just an observation from discussions that I've had with a few people who have been able to open up and be brutally honest about their feelings, that you get to know, you get to feel, and you can tell. You can tell when somebody's lying, you can tell when there is infidelity in a relationship, and it just stands out. And sooner or later, it becomes common knowledge amongst all your friends and family, and then it comes to the surface, and it destroys many relationships. I also ask people, and I'm very curious about this as well, that fair enough, you know, everybody has a weak spot, everybody can make a mistake. You know, why can't you just forgive and forget? It just seems so obvious that you can just forgive somebody and just put it behind you. If you love them, if you've got your family and your reputation and everything at stake, why wouldn't you just sweep it under the carpet and live with it? It would seem like the obvious thing to do. But everybody that I've spoken to says, no, you just can't live with it. You know, once that trust is broken, once you feel that you've been, that trust is breached, then there's no going back, is the general consensus. And I guess over the years I've also, you know, heard of stories where partners have said, you know, in order to keep the family together, let's, you know, you can do whatever you want, but do it under wraps. You know, don't make it obvious to everybody so that we don't hurt the children. You know, while it sounds good in practice, usually, unfortunately, it's very hard to maintain in a practical perspective, and that relationship, you know, is doomed to suffer the consequences along the way. Anyway, as I said, it's a tough topic, but it's a tough topic that seems to be a lot more common these days than what it was when I was growing up, or at least it appears to be these days. But the problem is, I guess the challenge is, you know, once you take an inch in a relationship, then there's a tendency for people to take a mile, and what starts off as a simple affair, as a one-night sort of stand, ends up becoming habitual and something that can't be solved and can't be broken. I remember years ago a man coming to our place and my mother confronting them and telling them that about affairs that they're having and the shame that they're bringing to their families, and the person just screamed out at the top of their voice, "I just can't help it. It's a disease. I need help. I need help." And I remember that vision, that they were just smashing the table with their hand, shouting at the top of their voice, knowing that they're helpless, knowing that they can't help themselves, knowing that what they're doing is destroying their lives, but also admitting that it is a mental sort of illness for some people that cannot be just cut by just saying, "I'll stop it," or I'll do the right thing. So there's a lot more to it than meets the eye, and I guess my only advice is for people to be upfront and honest with each other, and not to get into relationships with people who are going to cause them pain. But you don't know. This is the trick. You just don't know who the person's going to be. I have lots of people that I've met throughout my life, and I would have bet my house, I would have bet my fortune to say no way in the world that person would be the sort of person who would be a housebreaker or would destroy his family. But lo and behold, it happens. So what do you do? What do you say? I don't know what the answer is. But it's a sad state of affairs. And I guess my only advice to young people is to stay true. Stay true to your values. My own opinion is that I will never cheat on my partner, because by cheating on my partner, I'm cheating on myself. I'm basically telling the world that I made a mistake, I married the wrong person, or I dating the wrong person, and it's something which goes against my principles, and it's something that I just could never live with anyway. Anyway, thanks for being with me and chatting with me about this very, very tough topic. And I'm sure different people have got different opinions on this topic, but I know that it causes a lot of pain and a lot of distress, not only to the couple, but also to the parents, the grandparents, the family, the siblings, and most importantly, the children, should there be any children in the relationship. So I guess the bottom line is do whatever you want to do in life, as long as it doesn't cause pain and suffering and collateral damage to those around you. And be cautious, I guess, is the only thing I have to say. I don't want to tell people what to do with their lives. It's not my role. But to be cautious, to be mindful, and to be aware that proximity, frequency, intensity, and duration of people around you can lead you astray. So as long as you're aware of that and put in the right circuit breakers to ensure that you don't get caught up in the vortex of emotion, then you may be able to save yourself the future pain that may come from making an indiscretion in your decision making. And the bottom line is that we're all human, we all have weaknesses, but the important thing that separates the strong from the weak is the one who is able to observe, understand, and not act on their weaknesses. And by not acting, you're creating value in the world, in my opinion, because you're not leading people astray, you're not making people have strong feelings for you which are not reciprocated. And unless you want to destroy the masterpiece that you created in your life, the best form of behaviour is avoidance and to do the right thing, whatever that right thing is, according to your family values and how you've been brought up. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me, and let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, and most importantly, stay committed to your partner, stay committed to yourself, and do the right thing wherever possible for your family, and put all others above your own personal feelings. Bye for now, and we'll chat again tomorrow at 5 a.m. from Jim's 5 a.m. Club. Yassas.